Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, but I've been pretty damn busy. So what I got here now is I'm going to be doing another build, and I'm really excited for this one. I'm going to be making a 1967 Gibson Flying V, and I ended up getting this kit on Amazon, and you can see this is all mahogany, and it came in the, wasn't in the best box, but it got protected, it got delivered here. Didn't take that long to come in, but we can see our old headstock there. That's the that shorter version. Some of them they can vary throughout the years, but that's the style I like. And we get this style, so I'm gonna have to drill some holes here for the bridge and the tailstop. So there's a lot of work I got to do to it, but pretty nice. And it's a three ply pick guard, so that's good. And it's got the shield and tape on there. So I mean, we got a lot of work to do here. Mounting holes. We also got to get in at the ground over here. So it's going to be a lot of work. Now I did test the neck pocket on it, and it has a nice fit, but we'll get into that as the video goes on. But the first thing I'm going to do is get this neck nice and level, and then do all the frets. So I'm gonna level them and crown them and polish them. Put the relief there on these last few frets too. And when I get to that stage, then we'll talk about the neck joint and the placement and stuff like that. But so I got some work cut out for me. So I'm going to begin by masking all of this up, everything except for the frets right here, and then we'll first level the neck first, get that nice and straight. Adjust the truss rod till it's nice and straight, and then we'll tape everything up. And we'll begin the process of marking these frets and leveling them. Alright, so let's get into it. Okay, the next step was, I just finished here, was adjusting the truss rod so your neck is nice and straight and flat. And you want to use a tool like this. You can get those pretty cheap on Amazon. And you want to adjust your truss rod one way or the other until you get it nice and flat. And then you can begin with the leveling and crowning of the frets. So what I'm going to do next is tape up all of these, in between all these frets and on the side and everything, and get this thing ready to go. So let's get that done. Okay, we're back with the neck all taped up. As you can see, I just tape along the sides, and then cut the tape and put it in between here. You can use masking tape, you can use painter's tape, it really doesn't matter, as long as you're just protecting the fretboard. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get a Sharpie, and we're just going to mark the top of each fret, just to put a line on there. And after we get that line on there, we're going to use what I have here is a level, so it's a nice flat edge, and I got some sandpaper that's taped to the bottom of it. And what we do is we take the level, we put it on the frets, and we just very lightly, just with the weight of the level is enough, and just hit the top of there, and then we can take a look and see where the high and the low parts are, and we basically just repeat that going back and forth until we get all of these frets nice and level. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna come through, but you can see the best that I can show on this, like some of the high points and some of the lows, so you can still see some of the marker on there. So basically you're just going to go back and forth over it until you get all the black off the top, so you'll have all the frets level. So I'm just going to go over it a little more. I don't know how good that's going to come out on camera, but you can see, like right here, I got some of those frets there at the end, and some at the bottom over here too, on this edge. So I'm going to hit that a little more until I even the whole thing out, and when I get it all even out, we'll give it another look. Okay, now I got everything touching now. So you can see the little flats on there. Hopefully you can see that a little better with the light on it. You can still see some of the Sharpie, but you can see that where it's hit, so you can see that one was the final one when I just about touched that. So you want to get all the frets until you get all of them and get the lowest one. So once you've made it to the, you've scratched the surface on the top of the very lowest point across this fretboard, you've now made all the frets level. So there's another thing I'm going to do, and we'll go to the, we're going to go up to the 11th fret, and then we'll put a piece of tape over that, and I'll put one over this as well, right, to kind of make a, kind of set this at a little bit of an angle. And what I'll do is I'll mark the top of the remaining frets, and we'll do that again just to kind of basically, we're going to kind of, instead of it being flat right here, we're going to put just a little bit of an angle. That's exaggerated, but we'll put a little bit of an angle on those to bring these down a little bit lower, and that can make it a little bit easier for setting the action later on. Okay, just wanted to give you a little visual on this. So I marked those frets again, so they got the, actually I'm missing a little spot over here, I'll have to touch that up. But you want to put a mark over the top of those frets. You can see right here I got this kind of taped off to make a little ramp, and I taped the end of that. So when I'm sanding it won't continue on past this point. So I'm basically going to kick it on just a very, very slight angle, like not even a degree, but just enough to kind of taper it off. So I'm going to go ahead and sand away on this again until I get all of these, until I get the marks off the lowest one, which will be up here. This is going to pretty much come off right away, and then I'll be working my way up to this one, the 12th fret. Okay. Okay, back again with the frets all marked up again. So I used that Sharpie and marked all the top of the frets one last time after I've already flattened it, and then put my little bit of a angle here on the end. Next thing we're going to do is, the reason we get these back on is we're going to basically put an angle on one side of the fret and then an angle, and we're going to kind of curve it. So we're going to start to shape the crown, because right now we have flat tops. We want to round those over, but we want to leave in the dead center of this, we want to leave just a little bit of that marker there, like I'm talking like a hairline of that marker remaining right down the middle, dead down the middle. So you can use a file, and you know, they even have special fret crowning files and stuff like that. I'm using something like this. This is a stone that I use for like polishing up molds and stuff like that. So if you get like an injection mold, you know, there's other things you use for, but machinists, a lot of machinists have things like this where they got these thin polishing stones, or some of them are even thicker and bigger. But the reason I'm using the stone is I'll have nice smooth surface when I do this, so I won't really have to polish that much, because I'm going to have a nice smooth finish on this as I'm working that angle in there and starting to shape that fret. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of these frets. So again, you're going to want to go on one side and turn on an angle and get on the other, and then you're going to want to leave just a little line on there. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, and here we are finally with all of these frets now crowned, and you can see this is what I'm talking about. You're talking about like this to give you a scale of how big that line is. You just want a very, very fine line, because you don't want to get rid of the top of that, because then you'll have uneven frets. So you want to keep that line that you had there and just crown that over. And so I used the stone, so you can see it came out like pretty smooth. If I get in there, that's close as I get in there, you can see it leaves a nice smooth finish. But what we want to do to like really polish that up and get that really nice is we're going to use this. So I'm going to use some of this compound, and it does cut a little bit into it, so, but it's not going to be enough there. It's really going to change the height of it, but it's really just to get any scuff marks, like little fine scuff marks out, and really get it to a nice polish. So we'll just kind of rub that in there, and then use a microfiber, and then just buff that out just to get the frets nice and shiny. All right, so let me get that done. Okay, now we are finished. So I got everything polished up and all set. I don't know if we can get that in the light and see it a little bit better, but I conditioned the fretboard, and so everything is all set. And I'm not gonna lie, it's It's a tedious process, but it's well worth the work. Okay, now we're back with the section where I'm going to be putting the bridge on. So there's a couple of things. First, I did get this bridge from this company, Gorka, and this is a really good quality. So it's basically a rip-off of the Tone Pro type bridge and tailstop, and it's just really, really nice. So I highly suggest, if you're looking to get one, this would be the one to get. I got that on Amazon for like 18 bucks, and you can lock the posts in, and these things don't have any kind of jiggle on them. They're just, it's really good. So what we're gonna do is, I just tested the pocket. This isn't glued in right now. This is just a dry fit. So it fits in there great, but I wanted to check and make sure that I was gonna have enough height here on the frets that would make it over. The string's gonna make it over the bridge, and so I could have some adjustments. So what I did was, I took this piece and I opened it up a little bit, and I took a measurement from here to here, to underneath where that bushing's going to hit the body, to the top of where that bridge is going to rest, and I came up with 200 thousandths. So if you take 3, I didn't want to drill and do anything yet, so if you take 3 quarters, so 75 cents, 3 US quarters, and stack them up, that's about 200 thousandths, like right on the money. So I spaced those out, and I measured out from the neck, 24 3/4, that's where it's going to go, and I placed the bridge there, and I have this bolted in. So the next thing I did is I took a straight edge like this, and just basically rest it on the frets and bring it over. I don't know if I'll be able to get that on camera, but it gets right up to, it's going to be hard to see, right to where the string would rest on top of that bridge. So that's plenty, because I could still go low with the adjustment, and also I'm coming right off the top of the frets. Your strings aren't going to rest on the frets. They should be above the frets just a little bit. So that's good. I don't need any type of shim in here to bring this on an offset. I don't have to get it low or anything. The neck, right where it is, how it's come, is actually perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it just like that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to put some glue on. I'm getting the Gorilla wood glue, and I'll put that on, clamp it up, and we'll let that glue and sit for about a day or so, and then we'll get to moving on to the part where we mark the holes for the bridge. Okay, we got the neck glued in now, and what I used was Gorilla's wood glue, and that's as simple as it seems. You just put some glue over everything, clamp it here. I put another C-clamp in here, let that sit for a little over 24 hours, and then just sanded the fitment over here in. So now everything is nice, and you can see I've already laid out for the bridge. And how I did that was, I got a like a yardstick, right? So I measured from the nut here to the 12th fret, and that was 12 3/8, so 27 3/4 is double that, and that's where this line is. That's the 24 3/4. Then I want another 1 5/8 back for the tailstop, because that's what's recommended. I also offset the low E an 1/8 of an inch back. And how I got the center line was, I used that straight edge and just went along and continued that line down on each one, and then just did some math, divided this section where it crossed to find a center point. I did that on both of them, so I had a nice center line. And then I just took the, this was online as far as the measurements for the hole spacing. So I took that, divided that by 2, and came over with the distance across, and then that just got me my lines. And then what I did to make sure that this was going to come out right is I actually put this on the lines, and then I used some transfer punches. So I kind of taped this in place, and then I held it, and I just used the transfer punch. So I hit it here, moved it over, and hit it over there without moving this. That way I'm sure to get the transfer punches had a nice fit to it, so it should line up perfectly when I drill it. I did the same thing with the tailstop, only the tailstop doesn't need an offset. You want to run that straight. So I used the transfer punches on those too. So now they get those transfer punches on there. I'm going to clamp it down, and we're going to drill it. So I got to find out the measurements. I got to drill it with the bushings that are going to go in there, and then we'll get that done. All right, we have our holes drilled now. So if you're getting this set, you're going to want a 27/64 drill, because that's what you need to get it in there. Now I went off what I had, I told you I used the transfer punch holding that in, and as you can see, this is just like spot on, like just perfect. Same thing with this. Now I got to drive the rest of them in. But before you do that, before you get all excited and want to pound these things in there, remember, you need to run a ground to either your post back here or over here. Now this might have been easier to get at, but I wanted my ground wire out here in the back, so I took some measurements and adjusted my drill so I could get in. And just, you got to be real careful with this. Usually you really want to think this through, but you're gonna have to drill on an angle to get in there. But I made it into the other side. So what you need to do next is you gotta solder a grounding wire on here and feed that through before you press that in, so that way you have your ground all set. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and solder the ground on just the post. You can just take the screw out. You only need the bushing that's going to go in there. And you can see that it's kind of wobbling around. It's just the face of it, right? When I had that drill in there, I just used a regular hand drill. If you look at the top of it, there's a little circle on the top with the level, like a bubble of the level. And when you get into the bottom there, you just want that dead center and give that thing just a quick spin. Just hit the trigger, give it a quick spin, and then you'll get that nice and concentric, straight up and down. And also make sure you mark for the height. I ended up marking 800 thousandths for the height of this, so I'd have plenty of room to get that in there. So from the body of the drill, not including the point, so from the body of the drill back about 800 thousandths, and that's how you do it. So I'm going to go ahead and get that ground wire on there and then push these in, and we'll give it another look. Okay, we have the pickguard in place. So what I did was I just raised up the tail stop here and put some strings on. I didn't bolt these pickups in, so that one fell in, but I lined it up before that. It just dropped in before I picked up the camera. But I placed all my hardware in there and positioned it so the strings, they don't have all the tension on it that they should. But I wanted to get this lined up nice and straight so everything looked like it was good. Everything's gonna fit. So now that I got it taped in a position where I know that's where it's gonna be, I'm gonna now take my screws and start putting in the holes for the pickguard placement. And then once that pickguard is in place, then we can worry about transferring the holes through that pickguard for the bridge. Okay, now I got the pickguard on, and I ended up making those holes a little bit bigger than I needed to. I was remembering that the ring that goes on top of that screws in there is a little bit bigger, but it's not that big. So I got a little bit bigger hole than I need, but that's all right. I got the pickguard in place. Everything's nice and flat. So the next thing I'm going to do is put my hardware on the pickup for real this time and get it all set up for soldering. I went with all of this company, Flell, or well, I guess that's how you say it, but I've used them before with some other things, and they make really good stuff. So these pickups are more of your traditional PAF style, which is like, I believe it was 8K in the neck and 8.5 in the bridge, so that should be pretty good. And the only one I didn't get from that company was this stuff. It is called Protone, and that's the jack. And that actually, I've used that on something else before, and those are really nice. It's not going to help you get any better tone. It's just it just grabs the jack better. I just like the way that is, and it's got a standard 3-way selector. And I went with the smaller parts because of I want to get the size in. I'm going to test the parts out and test everything, make sure everything's working before I go ahead and solder everything together. But there's no need to get really large parts. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. It's simple as that. Having a bigger size isn't going to do anything to your sound. It's just a matter of space. Okay, so let me get this set up on the pickguard and we'll go over the soldering. Okay, we get the whole thing wired up now. Let me explain what I did over here. Now, I didn't go with a traditional wiring. I'm gonna fix that and tape that down with some copper tape. what I did here is I went with a master volume and 2 tones rather than 2 volumes and 1 master tone. And it's because I like to control my rhythm and lead sound with just my volume. So that's the way I got it wired right now. So I got the 2 different tones and I got the master volume. I also put a, you can see I also put a treble bleed on the volume. And here's my 3-way switch. That's that output jack. When it comes to the capacitors, I had thought about it wrong. I wanted to go for, instead of the 0.022, to go with something that wouldn't be as dark. So I ordered a 0.033, not thinking I'm going in the wrong direction. So what I did was I ran those 2 capacitors in series, which will cut the capacitance in half. So that's now a 0.016. So it's less. So when I roll down that tone, it shouldn't be as dark as it would normally be. And there's my pickups. Those came in around 8K. The bridge a little more than the neck. So now all we got to do is get the finish on the guitar and put it together. And here we are with the guitar all finished. I know this was quite the jump ahead, but I actually had my father finish this because he's very good with finish work. And I don't know how this will come out on video, but it came out just incredible. And it's kind of it's like a reddish brown. And I'm looking at it here the way the camera is. It looks, in person, it looks darker than what's showing up here on my phone. But the thing just came out, and it just came out incredible. So now what I'm left to do here is put some copper tape on the inside here, the shielding tape. Put all my stuff back on, check the neck again, and really just start to put this thing back together. And here we are, all back together. You see I got everything hooked up here. Everything strung up, intonated, tuned, everything looking really good. Let me take the, flip it over, put it back. That thing just came out awesome. Okay, only thing left now is to plug it in and play and make sure everything's working. Okay, I got it set up over here on the clean channel, and I'm just going to give you some simple sounds on this. So here's an A chord. We're on the neck pickup. There's the volume all the way up. The volume rolled back. So even with the volume down, it does stay pretty clear. So let's hear the. I'll show you the difference with the tone all the way down on the neck pickup. It's still very usable. So that's fully open, and that's fully closed. So still very usable. Now we'll go to the middle position. Nice sound. It all depends on the amp you have and things like that. So here is the bridge. Quite a bit brighter and a little more output. Let me roll back a little. And with the tone all the way down on that. So very usable with the tones. I'm real happy with going with that capacitor. So you're able to, just bury that tone and without it sounding muddy. Okay, now to play something with a little gain, and I'll just play a little song just to play the video out.